It's June 21st, and we are reading Deuteronomy 26 and Psalm 117 and 118. Deuteronomy 26 is a command for how Israel is supposed to rehearse how God saved them from Egypt whenever the first fruit offering was required, whenever they had to go and give it. It says in verses 5, "You shall make a response before the Lord, saying, 'A wandering Armenian was my father. He went down to Egypt and sojourned there, few in number, and there he became a nation, great, mighty, and populous.'" It says in verse 7, "They cried to the Lord, and the Lord heard our voice and saw our affliction, our toil. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm and great deeds of terror with signs and wonders. God saved them." And today, as Christians, we too are constantly being called to rehearse our salvation, to rehearse the gospel. Every time we come to serve, especially, but every time we have a moment to be thankful, what moves us to thankfulness is God. In his wonderful book, The Gospel Primer, Milton Vincent writes how the gospel changes our view of God's commandments, in that it helps us to see the heart of the person from whom these commandments come. We come to realize that if God loved me enough to sacrifice his son's life for me, then he must be guided by the same love when he speaks his commandments to me. This is so huge. Just as Israel was saved in the wilderness, and so they could obey God's commands now, in the same way, we who have died to sin because of Jesus can obey God's commands because Jesus was given for us. God loves us. In the psalm is very similar. It says in verse 24, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And it's a command. Rejoice and be glad in your day because Jesus was the stone that was rejected. Because of the gospel, you can trust what God is calling you to do today because he's already given his son for you. If he was willing to do that, how much more will he give us all things?